Bogotá, officially Bogotá, Distrito Capital, abbreviated Bogotá.D. is the capital and largest city of Colombia, administered as the Capital District, although often thought of as part of Cundinamarca. Bogotá is a territorial entity of the first order, with the same administrative status as the departments of Colombia. It is the political, economic, administrative, industrial, artistic, cultural, and sports center of the country. The city is located in the center of Colombia, on a high plateau known as the Bogotá savanna, part of the Altiplano Cundiboyacense located in the Eastern Cordillera of the Andes. It is the third highest capital in South America, at an average of 2,640 meters above sea level. Subdivided into 20 localities, Bogotá has an area of 1,587 square kilometers and a relatively fresh climate that is constant over the year. Bogotá was founded as the capital of the new Kingdom of Granada on August 6, 1538 by Spanish conquistador Gonzalo Jiménez de Quesada after a harsh expedition into the Andes conquering the Muisca. The Muisca people were the indigenous inhabitants of the region and called the settlement where Bogotá was founded Bogotá. After the Battle of Boyacá on August 7, 1819, Bogotá became the capital of the independent nation of Colombia, then called Gran Colombia. The city is home to senior agencies of the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. Bogotá stands out for its economic strength and associated financial maturity, its attractiveness to global companies, and the quality of human capital. It is the largest business platform of Colombia where most high-impact ventures occur. The capital hosts the main market of Colombia and the Andean natural region, and the leading destination for new projects of foreign direct investment coming into Latin America and Colombia. It has the highest nominal GDP in the country, contributing most to the national total, and it is the seventh largest city by size of GDP in Latin America. The airport of the city, El Dorado International Airport, named after the mythical El Dorado, has the largest volume of cargo transported in Latin America, and is second in number of people. It is the city of Colombia with the largest number of universities and research centers, and has an important cultural offer, which is represented in many museums, of which the Museo del Oro is the most important, theaters and libraries. Bogotá ranks 52th on the Global Cities Index 2014, and is considered a global city type beta by GAWC. Geography. Bogotá is located in the southeastern part of the Bogotá savanna at an average altitude of 2,640 meters above sea level. The Bogotá savanna is popularly called savanna, but constitutes actually a high plateau in the Andes Mountains, part of an extended region known as the Altiplano Cundiboyacense, which literally means high plateau of Cundinamarca and Boyacá. In the extreme south of Bogotá's district, the world's largest continuous Páramo ecosystem can be found, Suma Paz Páramo, in the locality Suma Paz. The Bogotá River running NSW crosses the savanna, forming Tequendama Falls to the south. Tributary rivers form valleys with flourishing villages, whose economy is based on agriculture, livestock raising and artisanal production. The savanna is bordered to the east by the Eastern Cordillera of the Andes mountain range. The eastern hills, which limit city growth, run from south to north, and from east of the center the Guadalupe and Montserrat mountains. The western city limit is the Bogotá River. The Suma Paz Páramo borders the south, and to the north Bogotá extends over the plateau up to the towns of Chía and Sopó. Climate. Bogotá has a subtropical highland climate. The average temperature is 14.5 degrees Celsius, and it varies from 6 to 19 degrees Celsius in fair skies days, to 10 to 18 degrees Celsius in heavy rain days. Dry and rainy seasons alternate throughout the year. The driest months are December, January, July and August. The warmest month is March, bringing a maximum of 19.7 degrees Celsius. The coolest nights occur in January, with an average of 7.6 degrees Celsius in the city. Fog is very usual in early morning, 220 days per year, whilst clear sky sunny full days are quite unusual. The official highest temperature recorded within the city limits is 30.0 degrees Celsius, and the lowest temperature recorded is -7.1 degrees Celsius. The rainiest months are April, May, September, October and November, in which typical days are mostly overcast, with low clouds and some winds, bringing maximum temperatures of 18 degrees Celsius and lows of 7 degrees Celsius. Urban layout and nomenclature. Bogotá has 20 localities or districts, forming an extensive network of neighborhoods. Areas of higher economic status tend to be located to the north and northeast, close to the foothills of the Eastern Cordillera. Poorer neighborhoods are located to the south and southeast, many of them squatter areas. The middle classes usually inhabit the central, western and northwestern sections of the city. The urban layout in the center of the city is based on the focal point of a square or plaza, typical of Spanish-founded settlements, but the layout gradually becomes more modern in outlying neighborhoods. The current types of roads are classified as calles, which run perpendicular to the Cordillera, with street numbers increasing towards the north, and also towards the south from Cal 0. Carreras run parallel to the hills, with numbering increasing as one travels east or west of Carrera 1. At the southeast of the city, the addresses are logically sur or est. Other types of roads more common in newer parts of the city may be termed DJ, diagonal or transversal. The numbering system for street addresses recently changed, and numbers are assigned according to street rank, from main avenues to smaller avenues and local streets. Some of Bogotá's main roads, which also go by a proper name in addition to a number, are Norte Quito Sur or NQS, Autopista Norte, Avenida Caracas, Avenida Circunvala, Avenida Suba, Avenida El Dorado, Avenida de las Americas, Avenida Primero de Mayo South Street, Avenida Ciudad de Cali, Avenida Boyaca, Autopista Sur. Localities surrounding towns. History. The area of modern Bogotá was first populated by groups of indigenous people who migrated south based on the relation with the other Chibcha languages. The Bogotá savanna was the southernmost Chibcha-speaking group that exists from Nicaragua to the Andes in Colombia. The civilization built by the Muisca, who settled in the valleys and fertile highlands of and surrounding the Altiplano Cundiboyacense, was one of the four great civilizations in the Americas. The name Muisca Confederation has been given to a loose egalitarian society of various chiefs who lived in small settlements of maximum 100 boios. The agriculture and salt-based society of the people was rich in gold working, trade and mummification. The religion of the Muisca consisted of various gods, mostly related to natural phenomena as the sun and his wife, the moon, Chia, rain Chibchacum, rainbow Cachaviron, with building and feasting and wisdom. The complex lunisolar calendar, deciphered by Manuel Izquierdo based on work by Duquesne, followed three different sets of years, where the sidereal and synodic months were represented. Their astronomical knowledge is represented in one of the few extant landmarks of the architecture of the Muisca in El Infierno outside Villa de Leyva to the north of Bogotá. Pre-Columbian era. The first populations inhabiting the present-day metropolitan area of Bogotá were hunter-gatherer people in the late Pleistocene. The oldest dated evidence thus far has been discovered in El Abra, north of Zipaquirá. Slightly later dated excavations in a rock shelter southwest of the city in Socha provided ages of tilde 11,000 BP Tequendama. Since around 00 AD, the Muisca domesticated guinea pigs, part of the meat diet. The people inhabiting the Bogotá savanna in the late 15th century were the Muisca-speaking Muiscuban, a member of the Chibcha language family. Muisca means people or person, making Muisca people how they are called a tautology. At the arrival of the conquerors, the population was estimated to be 500,000 indigenous people on the Bogotá savanna of up to 2 million in the Muisca Confederation. They occupied the highland and mild climate flanks between the Sumapaz Mountains to the southwest and Cocui's snowy peak to the northeast, covering an approximate area of 25,000 square kilometers, comprising Bogotá's high plain, the current Boyacá department portion and a small Santander region. Trade was the most important activity of the Muisca with other Chibcha-speaking neighbors such as the Guani, Laitian Uwa and with caravan groups as the Musa or Emerald people. The knowledge of salt production from brines, a task exclusively for the Muisca women, gave them the name salt people. Tropical fruits that didn't grow on the cool highlands, coca, cotton and gold were traded at markets that took place every Muisca a week, every 4 days. At these frequent markets, the Muisca obtained various luxury goods that seem worthless in modern sense and precious metals and gemstones that seem valuable to us became abundant and used for various purposes. The Muisca warrior elite was allowed to wear feathered crowns. From parrots and macaques whose habitat was to the east of the Andes, the Araucan-speaking Gayup, Tegua and Achagua. The Muisca cuisine consisted of a stable and varied diet of tubers, potatoes and fruits. Maize was the main ingredient of the Muisca, cultivated on elevated and irrigated terraces. In Muiscuban exist many words for maize, corn and the various types and forms of it. The product was also the base for chicha, the alcoholic beverage of the people, still sold in central Bogotá today. It was the drink for construction of houses, celebrations of harvests and sowing, ritual practices around the various sacred sites of the Altiplano. Music and dances. Trade at special ferias with farther away trading indigenous groups of Colombia and to inaugurate the new highest regarded member of the community. Zippers, Zaks, Caciques and the religious ruler Araka from Sacred City of the Sun Sugarmaxi. The zipper at the moment of Spanish conquest was Tisquezusa. His main bohio was in Bacata with others in Funza and Cajica, giving name to the present-day capital of Colombia. A prophecy in his life came true. He would be dying, bathing in his own blood, defending Funza with a reduced army of Gucha warriors against the heavily exhausted but heavily armed strangers. His reign fell in the hands of Gonzalo Jimenez de Quesada and his younger brother Hernán Pérez on April 20, 1537. Upon his death, his brother Sajip became the last zipper against the inheritance tradition of the Muisca. Sajip used to be a main captain for Tisquezusa but quickly submitted to the Spanish rulers. The first encomenderos asked high prices in valuable products and agricultural production from the indigenous people. On top of that, various epidemics of European viruses raised through the population, of which in current Boyacá 65 to 85% of the Muisca were killed within 100 years. Bogotá was founded by Gonzalo Jimenez de Quesada traditionally on the 6th of August 1538. Other documents state a second establishment was done on April 27, 1539. Gonzalo Jimenez and main conquerors Tabel Alcazar and Federman left for Spain in April 1539, founding Guataquí together on April 6, 1539. The rule over the fresh new kingdom of Granada was left to Hernán. Bogotá became the capital of the later Viceroyalty of New Granada. With independence, Bogotá became capital of Gran Colombia and later the capital of the Republic of Colombia. Gonzalo Jimenez de Quesada expedition from 1533, a belief persisted that the Rio Grande de la Magdalena was the trail to the South Sea, to Peru. Legendary El Dorado. Such was the target of Gonzalo Jimenez de Quesada, the Granadanian conquistador who left Santa Marta on the 6th of April 1536 with 800 soldiers, heading towards the interior of current Colombia. The expedition divided into two groups, one under Quesada's command to move on land, and the other commanded by Diego de Urbino would go upriver in 4 brigantine ships to, later on, meet Quesada troops at the site named Torre de las Barrancas Bermejas. When they arrived, they heard news about Indians inhabiting the south and making large salt cakes used to trade for wild cotton and fish. Jimenez decided to abandon the route to Peru and cross the mountain in search of salt villages. They saw crops, trails, white salt cakes and then huts where they found corn, yucca and beans. From Torre, the expedition went up the Opon River and found indigenous people covered with very finely painted cotton mantles. When they arrived in Muisca territories of the expedition leaving Santa Marta, only 162 men were left. Spanish colonization. On the other side to Plaza de Bolivar, the chapter and the royal audience were located. The street joining the major plaza and Herbst Plaza, currently Santander Park, was named Cal Real, now Carrera Septima, formed by Europeans, mestizos, indigenous people, and slaves. From the second half of the 16th century, the population began to grow rapidly. The 1789 census recorded 18,161 inhabitants, and by 1819 the city population reached 30,000 inhabitants distributed in 195 blocks. Importance grew when the diocese was established. The city mayor and the chapter, formed by 2 councilmen, assisted by the constable and the police chief, governed the city. For better administration of these domains, in April 1550, the Audience of Santa Fe de Bogotá was organized. At that time, the city became the capital and the home of New Kingdom of Granada government. 14 years later, in 1564, the Spanish crown designated the first royal audience chairman, André Diaz Venero de Leyva. 19th-century political uneasiness felt all over Spanish colonies in America was expressed in New Granada in many different ways, accelerating the movement to independence. One of the most transcendent was the Revolution of Comuneros. A riot of the inhabitants started in Villa del Socorro, current department of Santander, in March 1781. Spanish authorities suppressed the riot, and José Antonio Galán, the leader, was executed. He left an imprint, though. He was followed in 1794 by Antonio Nariño, precursor of independence, by translating and publishing in Santa Fe, The Rights of Men and the Citizen, and by the 20th of July movement leaders in 1810. Between 1819 and 1849, there were no fundamental structural changes from the colonial period. By the mid-19th century, a series of fundamental reforms were enacted, some of the most important being slavery abolition and religious teaching, print and speech industry and trade freedom, among others. During the decade of the 70s, radicalism accelerated reforms and state and social institutions were substantially modified. However, during the second half of the century, the country faced permanent pronouncements, declarations of rebellions between states, and factions which resulted in civil wars. The last and bloodiest was the Thousand Days' War from 1899 to 1902. In 1823, a few years after the formation of Gran Colombia, the public library, now the National Library, was enlarged and modernized with new volumes and better facilities. The National Museum was founded. Those institutions were of great importance to the new republic's cultural development. The Central University was the first state school, precursor of the current National University, founded in 1867 and domiciled in Bogotá. Regeneration. President Rafael Núñez declared the end of federalism, and in 1886 the country became a centralist republic ruled by the constitution in force, save some amendments up to 1981. In the middle of political and administration avatars, Bogotá continued as the capital and principal political center of the country. From a base of only 20,000 people in 1793, the city grew to approximately 117,000 people in 1912. Population growth was rapid after 1870, largely because of emigration from the Eastern Highlands. 20th century. Early in the 20th century, Colombia had to face devastating consequences from the 1,000 Days' War, which lasted from 1899 to 1902, and the loss of Panama. Between 1904 and 1909, the lawfulness of the Liberal Party was re-established and President Rafael Reyes endeavored to implement a national government. Peace and state reorganization generated the increase of economic activities. Bogotá started deep architectural and urban transformation with significant industrial and artisan production increases. In 1910, the Industrial Exposition of the century took place at Park of Independence. Stands built evidenced industrial, artisan work, beaux-arts, electricity and machinery progress achieved. The period from 1910 to 1930 is designated conservative hegemony. Between 1924 and 1928, hard union struggles began, with oil fields and banana zone workers' strikes, leaving numerous people dead. Bogotá had practically no industry. Production was basically artisan work grouped in specific places, similar to commercial sectors. Plaza de Bolivar and surroundings lodged hat stores. At Cal del Comercio, current Carrera 7th, and Cal Florian, now Carrera 8, luxurious stores selling imported products opened their doors. At Paseo Hernandez, tailors' shops provided their services, and between 1870 and 1883, 4 main banks opened the doors: Bogotá, Colombia, Popular and Mortgage Credit banks. Following the Banana Zone killings and Conservative Party division, Enrique Olaya Herrera took office in 1930. The Liberal Party reformed during 16 years of the so-called Liberal Republic: agricultural, social, political, labor, educational, economic and administrative sectors. Unionism strengthened and education coverage expanded. The celebration produced a large number of infrastructure works, new construction and work sources. Following the 1946 Liberal Party division, a conservative candidate took presidential office again in 1948. After the killing of Liberal leader Jorge Eliécer Gaitan, Bogotá's downtown was virtually destroyed as violence reigned. For then, Bogotá's urban, architectural and population sectors were substantially reorganized. 21st century demographics. The largest and most populous city in Colombia, Bogotá, had 6,778,691 inhabitants within the city's limits, with a population density of approximately 4,310 inhabitants per square kilometer. Only 15,810 people are located in rural areas of Capital District. 47.5% of the population are male and 52.5% women. In Bogotá, as in the rest of the country, urbanization has accelerated due to industrialization as well as complex political and social reasons such as poverty and violence, which led to migration from rural to urban areas throughout the 20th and 21st centuries. A dramatic example of this is the number of displaced people who have arrived in Bogotá due to the internal armed conflict. Some estimates show that Bogotá's floating population may be as high as 4 million people, most of them being migrant workers from other departments and displaced people. The majority of the displaced population lives in the Ciudad Bolívar, Kennedy, USME, and Bosa sections. The ethnic composition of the city's population includes minorities of Afro-Colombian people and indigenous Amerindians. 98.27% of the population has no ethnic affiliation, but are mestizos and whites. Crime. Bogotá has gone to great lengths to change its formerly notorious crime rate and its image, with increasing success after being considered in the 1990s to be one of the most violent cities in the world. In 1993 there were 4,352 intentional homicides at a rate of 81 per 100,000 people. In 2007 Bogotá suffered 1,401 murders at a rate of 19 per 100,000 inhabitants, and had a further reduction to 16.9 per 100,000 inhabitants in 2012. This success was mainly the result of a participatory and integrated security policy, Comunidad Segura, that was first adopted in 1995 and continues to be enforced. Government. Bogotá is the capital of the Republic of Colombia and houses the Congress, Supreme Court of Justice and the center of the executive administration, as well as the residence of the president. These buildings, along with the office of the mayor, the Levino Palace, are located within a few meters from each other on the Bolivar Square. The square is located in the city's historical center, La Candelaria, which features architecture in Spanish colonial and Spanish Baroque styles. The mayor of Bogotá and the city council, both elected by popular vote, are responsible for city administration. In 2015, Enrique Penaloza was elected mayor. His term runs from 2016 to 2019. The city is divided into 20 localities: Usaquén, Chapinero, Santa Fe, San Cristobal, USME, Tunjuelito, Bosa, Kennedy, Fontibón, Engativa, Suba, Barrios Unidos, Tusaquillo, Los Martires, Antonio Nariño, Puente Aranda, La Candelaria, Rafael Uribe, Ciudad Bolívar and Suma Paz. Each of the 20 localities is governed by an administrative board elected by popular vote made up of no fewer than 7 members. The mayor designates local mayors from candidates nominated by the respective administrative board. Economy. Bogotá is the main economic and industrial center of Colombia. The Colombian government fosters the import of capital goods, Bogotá being one of the main destinations of these imports. In 2008, the World Cities Study Group and Network from the United Kingdom ranked Bogotá as a beta-level city, a medium ranking. Beta-level cities are important world cities that are instrumental in linking the region, establishing state into the world economy. Tourism. Bogotá is responsible for 56% of the tourism that arrives to Colombia and is home 1,423 multinational companies. Bogotá also ranked highly as a global city where business is done and meetings are held. Bogotá is a growing international meetings destination. The hotels in the historical center of La Candelaria and its surrounding areas cater to lovers of culture and the arts. This area also has the bulk of hostels in the city as well. In La Candelaria, there are many museums, including the Botero Museum and the Gold Museum. Close to La Candelaria is the Cerro Montserrat, which you can reach by cable car or funicular. The hotels located near Ciudad Salita are intended for visitors who make short stops in Bogotá and near El Dorado International Airport. Important landmarks and tourist stops in Bogotá include the Botanical Garden José Celestino Mutis, La Quinta de Bolivar, the National Observatory, the Planetarium Maloca, the Colpatria Observation Point, the Observation Point of La Calera, the Monument of the American Flags, and La Candelaria. There is also Usaquén, a colonial landmark where brunch and flea market on Sundays is a traditional activity. The city has numerous green parks and amusement parks like Salita Mágico and Mundo Aventura. Green areas surrounding Bogotá are perfect locations for ecotourism and hiking activities in the eastern mountains of the city. Just a few minutes walking from main roads, there are Quebrada La Vieja and Chapinero waterfalls, two of many green spots for sightseeing and tourism with clean air. There are also several areas of the city where fine restaurants can be found. The G-Zone, the T-Zone and La Macarena are well known for their gastronomic offerings. Since the 2000s, major hotel chains have established in the city. Shopping malls. Bogotá's economy has been significantly boosted due to new shopping malls built within the last few years. As of December 2011, over 160 new malls are planned in addition to the existing 100 malls. Notable malls include Centro Andino, Centro Mer, Santa Fe, Gran Estación, Portal de la 80, Titan Plaza, Calima, Atlantis Plaza, Unicentro.